guys, welcome to today's battle report. We've got 3,000 points of Ultramarines versus Imperial Guard and Grey Knights. We're going to play Cleanse and Capture on the Maelstrom of War table. We've already deployed our forces and got our objective markers out already. So we'll take you through the forces and what we've brought today. For the Imperial Guard, I have got 3 Lehman Russ battle tanks, battle cannon, las cannon hull mounted weapon, and plasma cannon sponsons. Pask, same loadout. Tank commander, exactly the same loadout. I've got a Basilisk sat in the backfield, an infantry squad hiding behind some crates over there, and an infantry squad in the building here. For the Grey Knights, I brought a Land Raider, twin las cannon, and multi-melter. I've got 2 Razorbacks with las cannons on. And then in the Teleportarum, I've got a Nemesis Dread Knight, sword, Gatling silencer, and he's got the heavy incinerator. There's the Grandmaster in Nemesis Dread Knight armor with twin fists, side cannon and Gatling silencer, Drago, and then 3 5-man strike squads, all with halberds, apart from the Justicars who are rocking hammers. And that's my 3,000 points.
Moving over to the Ultramarines, I have a lovely spearhead with some, well, we've seen them before, 2 Predators with las cannon, sponson and turret. We have 1 normal Vindicator sat there at the front. We have a lovely Repulsor with las cannon, sponson, and just Fragstorm grenade launchers covering it, and a lovely Gatling turret, and a pintle mount stubber, I think it's called Ironhail stubber, whatever it is. It's the one type stubber. It is a stubber of some kind. Then in the elite slot, we've got some Reavers. Oh, I should not forget the lovely squad of Devastators, 3 las cannon, 1 missile launcher up on the tower. Then other than that, I've got 2 Demos Vindicator laser destroyers sat at the back. Storm Talon, bringing the end of my spearhead. Then Gilliman, oh no, not at the end of the spearhead. Under there, out of sight, is 3 aggressors, which aren't finished yet, but there's also this tank here, which also you can see is not finished yet, but I wanted to field it because I'm yet to do so. We also have the Storm Talon, and then moving on, the Tech Marine in the HQ slot. But moving on to Gilliman in the Super Heavy Auxiliary of the first Super Heavy Auxiliary. And the second one is my Cerberus Heavy Tank Destroyer for 697 points with the Heavy Flamer.
It's got some really big guns on that.
Well, it's got 1 very big gun, which is also 3 very big guns in 1 very big gun.
Just a very big gun.
Very tank heavy, but I prefer running tanks because tanks are fun. And anyone who wants to say there's not enough boots on the ground, I don't really care for playing boots on the ground because it's easier to move tanks, and generally Predators have a lot of movement. And generally with rerolls, you don't have a lot of boots on the enemy ground left unless you're stupid.
I can attest to this. Ryan runs a lot of variants of these tank lists when he plays Ultramarines, but with Gilliman giving them the rerolls, they're absolutely devastating. So Ryan's got first turn. I failed to seize the initiative, as usually goes the way when we play. I have burnt the new stratagem.
So everyone's in cover who's not in cover.
My guys cover for the first round, which I think is going to be needed. And yeah, that's about it. We've got tactical objective cards. We get to draw 3 a turn, or up to a maximum. We can hold 3, but we draw to 3 a turn. So that's something new to us that we're going to give a go this game, to add a little bit of spice to it.
Also, I should mention that even if you face horde armies with the Ultramarine army, there is an easy solution. You can run autocannons on the Predators on the top cannon, leaving the las cannon sponsons, because heavy bolters aren't that worth using, to be fair. They're
No,
not fantastic.
they're not good.
Vindicators, units more than 6, you're getting D6 shots, and they will definitely kill because of the strength on it. And then talking about anti-horde, run aggressors in a lovely full 6-man squad, and you've got 24 shots if they don't move, as well as getting bonuses to Overwatch. So yeah, 24 shots on each aggressor, if max. So obviously 6 shots of the grenade, 6 shots from the what do you call it? Freaking storm bolter fist, whatever it is. Read it off. It is the Alto Boltstorm Gauntlet. Lovely name.
It's alliteration at its
Yeah.
best, really, isn't it? You know,
So
somebody gets paid a lot of money to think of these names.
firing twice, maximum of 24 shots each. Then if you had 6 of them, you're talking a lot of shots. Over 100 shots is plenty of shots. And that's only if you have 1 squad of aggressors. Then if you put 2 squads in, I won't be worrying about hordes, because you just park your lovely tanks with the lovely rerolls and put autocannons on them for galore. And then if you take a repulsor, not with the last talons, but instead you take the I think it's the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. Put that on, and then another Gatling cannon on the top, and then you could probably leave the las cannon sponson, but keep the Fragstorm grenade launchers, 5 of which, and you're talking more dead orcs, dead Tyranids, dead anything that takes lots of troops. So yeah, tanks are best, troops are shit. Don't play troops, it's boring. I know they're the meta, and I know a lot of people play horde armies, but I'm not here to play tournament lists. I'm here to play my fun lists, and I like tanks. Tanks are fun. Tanks look nice, and I don't have to take forever moving them all or setting them up.
Also true.
Which I can attest to, because I remember running conscripts. And placing 50 conscripts out of a freaking zip bag is not fun.
No, it
and
is
if you have more than 1 squad of conscripts, even less fun.
Moral of the story, play what you like.
Yes.
Unless you go into a tournament and you're playing to a meta, just bring what you like.
And tanks are a lot easier to get into the game a lot faster. You don't have to have as many units, and overall it's cheaper, because points-wise and weapon-wise, you get more for your value than a guy which can basically get obliterated by a Gatling gun.
Absolutely. Right, we'll see you at the end of turn 1, guys.
So in Ultramarines, movement and shooting turn 1, ignoring the psychic phase because that didn't go off so well because I've got no psychers. And the fight phase is not happening because I've only got tanks and nothing's in range. We successfully eradicated a Land Raider through some plinking shots from the Devastators, a shot from, I believe, the Predator.
It was, yeah.
And was it also the Storm Talon?
Repulsor did something, didn't it?
Probably the Repulsor.
Yeah.
I'm already forgetting. Everything's got las cannons. Just las cannons.
Doesn't matter where they came from.
We worked across the tanks. Stuff died. Then Pass got eradicated from the lovely fire from the Cerberus heavy tank destroyer.
That thing really does just look at you and go,
boom, boom. So I got my points worth, especially with rerolls. That really does help. And then also we lost, well, not lost, but we were soon to lose another tank, dropping it to 1 wound. One of the shots didn't go through. Luckily, it didn't go through because otherwise that would have been dead.
It was the stratagem that saved me. The going second stratagem.
It's 6+,
which gave me a 6-up save, effectively.
Saving that tank, but now it's severely crippled for shooting next turn.
Especially with guard shooting.
Yeah.
Not so good.
So we'll see how that goes moving into Imperial Guard and Grey Knights.
How many objective points?
Victory
points did you get?
So luckily, I got some very convenient cards. I got Overwhelming Firepower, Big Game Hunter, and Mission Critical Objective. And conveniently, I am set on the objective.
So you roll a d6.
Yeah.
And that gives you the objective. And he rolled a 6, which you were set on. It
was very fantastic. And then
pretty good.
2 tactical objectives, which revolve around killing things. And las cannons can do that. And that meant another couple of lovely points for me. I was just short of getting D3 victory points from the Lehman Russ that nearly died. If he had died, then I would have been able to roll another D3 and hopefully get some more points.
Yeah.
But 4, not too bad for first turn.
Not bad at all.
And these guys, by the way, the shots that came from the Devastators were from the legs. So they got some really good pro balancing shots, leaning down. Yeah, it was just how you do it is I don't really care as long as you can shoot it. Don't matter if you're dangling it off your toe. That's a las cannon shot.
That's it.
So we'll soon move over and see how much I lose against some lovely tank lines.
So at the end of Astra Militarum
Grey Knight
turn 1, I had a few bad rolls. This guy that was already down, as we guessed, did absolutely nothing.
Pat ball.
Various shooting here.
I think 4 tanks went into the Vindicator.
Yeah, so the Vindicator's down to 1 wound left. And then this side of the board, the Tank Commander and the Basilisk
killed the Pred,
which made me happy. A very, very quick turn, to be honest. Obviously, my Grey Knights over there.
Oh, the Basilisk also helped. That finished off.
Yeah.
The last 3.
Good Basilisk. The Grey Knights obviously can't come in turn 1 anymore as per the new FAQ, so they're still waiting to come in.
The guard advanced towards the garage.
They did. They moved up.
The point in here, somewhere in there.
So it wasn't the end of the world turn, but there were a lot of bad shots. But guard, so it goes either good or bad.
And that's even with re-rolling 1s, which luckily was happening.
Yeah, it was pretty poor. Although you took out 2 tanks of mine.
Then crippled
in your
1.
turn, I took out 1 and the other one's on 1. Points wise, you killed more points from my army than I have of yours, but at the minute it's trading almost 1 for 1. Tactical objective wise, I secure objective 6, which I'm not getting. Supremacy, score D3 victory points if you control any 3 objective markers. Again, I wasn't getting that. And blood and guts, if an enemy unit was destroyed during the fight phase, which with what I've got on the board,
it's not really happening.
Isn't going to happen. So I will discard all 3 of those to draw fresh ones on my next turn. Because the blood and guts is a potential one with the Grey Knights coming in next turn, but it's nothing to write home about. So I'd rather draw new and see what I get. So that's how the battlefield looks at the end of first turn. We'll catch you in the next one.
So at the end of Ultramarine turn 2, movement and shooting, I have moved my Storm Talon gunship up into the enemy deployment zone. It popped some shots off at the guard in this lovely building, killing 5. I fired some las cannon shots at the Basilisk, but failed to wound. Other than that, my lovely Cerberus Heavy Tank Destroyer fired at the remaining character, the Tank Commander, killing him. What else have I done? I've crippled this Lehman Russ with some las cannon shots, bringing it down to 1. Did I kill anything else? Was another Lehman Russ I killed? I can't remember. It's all gone so fast.
I believe there was. You basically decimated the entire tank line.
There's only 1 Lehman Russ left, and then 2 Razorbacks at the back.
The only thing that sort of whiffed was your Storm Talon against the Basilisk.
Yeah, I mentioned that. But because of this, I have moved into behind enemy lines and won this card that I drew. So I've scored 1 point there and 1 point from killing the character for Assassinate. But I will be discarding Scour the Skies because unfortunately nothing flies. The only thing that flies is Imperial Guard when they get hit by grenades and rockets. And las cannons occasionally if you hit the right place in the building. Or things go boom. But I think that's everything.
That's it.
Yeah, nothing else can shoot. These guys are out of range. My 36-inch range Demas Vindicators and my 24-inch range Vindicator who's crippled. who's slowly making his way back if he survives. And that should show that he's on 1. And obviously the Tech Marine's slowly moving up in the hopes of helping him. But I think he'll be dead, to be honest. If there's any... Well, I'd have to have some serious luck.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Moving into Astra Militarum and Grey Knights turn 2.
Yeah. So that wasn't too bad a turn, to be honest. The Grey Knights came in. I got 2 squads of strikes in. One down the bottom there, and one came in on top of the building. The one on top of the building shot into the Devastators, but didn't do anything.
Just glancing off the lovely
cover.
armour.
Yeah. The Grandmaster, Nemesis Dread Knight, did quite a bit of work down here on the Reavers. There's only 3 of them left.
6 or 7. 7 it was.
So that wasn't
far
too
down.
bad at all. Regular Dread Knight came in over here with Drago. And after some shots from the Basilisk and the Razorbacks back here, this guy was already down to 15. They charged in, took him down to 4. Not quite enough to finish him off, but they've seriously hampered him and he's now in his lowest bracket.
You also killed an aggressor.
I did kill an aggressor. I did Vortex of Doom psychic power.
That's also did damage onto this.
Damage, and then within 3 inches, and I did D3 mortal wounds and took out an aggressor with 6 mortal wounds, which is quite tasty. The wounded guy over here that's still on 1 shot and did nothing.
Yeah.
They're not always the best, even when they're at full ballistic skills, so he was a little bit poor. I've still got another squad of strikes to come in, which has to come in next turn, but I've been kind of waiting to see what tactical objective cards I draw. On that point, I managed to get mission critical objective. I rolled a d6, and
luckily it's near.
It was luckily number 1.
If I'd killed those with my lovely Storm Talon, I could have saved myself some points.
Done. Absolutely. So that wasn't the end of the world.
Actually, you need to defend objective 3. Oh, no, you haven't got objective 3 at the moment, have you?
I've picked up score objective 5 as well.
Score objective 5.
Because round the back here, the strike squad came in and are securing objective 5, which is just in the back of this building.
So that's an extra point.
So that's not too bad, so that's an extra point as well.
So currently it's 6-2.
It is indeed. Next turn, I think, will be the critical one. I haven't got a lot in my backfield anymore.
Kind of want to keep the Storm Talent alive so I can maybe seize Line Breaker in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the next turn will be interesting because I'm starting to now get into Ryan's lines. However, he'll fall back with that guy opening up shooting from... And
this has various rules, so I can still fall back and shoot perfectly fine because it's a lovely tank. Lovely, lovely.
FW. Forge word.
For the win.
Yeah.
For winning. Forge World for winning.
I think I was starting to look a bit shaky, but with the Grey Knights coming in to bolster, it's giving Ryan some different sort of options that he's got to look at.
We'll see. The cards will tell all.
Yeah.
The cards of victory.
A lot of it we've been playing to the cards.
Not about objectives, because, yeah, there are objectives, and the tactical objectives may say I need to capture an objective, but it's definitely not about boots on the ground, because so far that's done me no harm.
No, so far you've drawn nicely and I've taken a good lead. That last round, luckily, pulled me 2 points back, but certainly nothing to write home about. So we'll go into the next turn of the Ultramarines and see what's left on the board after that.
Yep. Ultramarine turn 3, movement and shooting. Obviously, the tank reversed. He then shot and killed, thanks to Reaver-Rolls, the Dread Knight. Not the Grandmaster, but just the normal Dread Knight. Then the Demos with Overcharge failed to successfully wound him with his 3+ invuln save on the Drago. Then moving on to the Predator, I think I only chipped a wound off. Then the aggressors again. No, actually no, the aggressors chipped a wound.
It was the Predator.
Predator did finish it.
Yeah.
This lovely Demos Vindicator did 6 wounds to the Grandmaster. Then, through the sheer number of las cannon, with the las cannon and the twin las cannon, killing the Grandmaster in the end. That gave me my Kingslayer for 1 point, because I rolled the D3, I got 1. Yay. Other than that, we've had plinking shots at the what do you call them? Strike squad that was on the roof.
Was
on the roof. So las cannon shots, got a few guys. Grenade shot, crack storm from the missile launcher. Not crack storm, I think it's just crack missile. Killed another one. Lost one to morale at the end. Yay. Sheer number of fire from this, also the remaining shots from the Gatling gun, the stubber, and all the grenades. Killed that squad that was down there. I mean, I really needed more boots on the ground. Clearly, more boots on the ground really made the difference here.
That's the one.
Meaning more tanks on the ground. Sad shooting from the Storm Talon. I only I just failed the las cannons.
Super basilisk.
And did 3 wounds thanks to my 12 shots that all hit, but didn't wound them all. Onto the basilisk doing 3. Yay. These are now on 8. But there's damage being done. These guys don't exist. They're just
sadly, there. They're in a grave.
They're in a grave, pile heap. Not a too bad turn, to be fair, if I'm honest. I'm quite happy with what happened.
I think you're downplaying it slightly. I think that was a very, very convincingly crushing turn.
It was okay. Could have been better. I mean, there's still these Razorbacks that I have to deal with. Though I am leading 7-1 points-wise. With 3 turns to go. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So it's anyone's game.
And you can keep a straight face while saying, I do not know.
You never know. Anything can happen. I mean, you've got more boots on the ground. And clearly, everyone says boots on the ground, that's what wins games.
I think we're going to disprove this theory dramatically.
If you have...
And I'd like to correct you, it's 7 points to 2.
Oh, to 2. So it's still anyone's game.
Right, we'll see you at the end of my turn 3.
Where he turns it all around and he wins. But I do know what he's going to do. He's going to try and finish off killing this.
Moral victories and all.
I know, but you could move to capture. You never know what card you'll get.
It's true.
Then again, you could get one that says kill a psyker.
That would crush me.
That's just
my draws haven't been that great up to now.
Or kill a warlord.
Also, not so good.
Or capture objective 6.
Yes, also bad.
But I think you've already had that one, so I don't think it'd be all right. Just as long as it's not capture objective 2. We shall soon see.
So at the end of my turn 3, not a lot happened. It was an extraordinarily quick turn. Strike squad came down over there
in the garage
to capture objective 5. One of my tactical objectives is defend objective 5, but I've got to do that for 2 consecutive turns. So if they're holding it at the end of the next turn, I shall get some victory points. There is a repulsor dangerously close though, so let's not worry too much about that. And then I defend objective 2. No chance, that is in the building right at the back, very tall building.
Currently guarded by Reavers.
And then I drew overwhelming firepower, which was score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the shooting phase. If 3 or more D3 victory points.
Cerberus heavy tank destroyer gone.
He's gone. Both Razorbacks fired at him and took off his last 4 wounds.
He didn't explode, luckily.
Or unluckily, depending on which side of the fence you're sitting on, but yeah.
Everyone's on luckily.
The Basilisk shot at the Predator,
Doing nothing,
and then fired its heavy bolter into the Storm Talon, taking off
a wound.
a wound. Yeah.
Wound.
That was about it. The guardsman fired at it, but obviously
Failed to shoot anything
at all.
They were blindly shooting
They
this guy.
Didn't even daze him with the flashlights. You know, like a laser pen through the cockpit. Nothing. He just carried on.
No, because as you can see, we have a shielded cockpit.
There's a tint on there, isn't there?
Yeah, shielded cockpit.
That's the badger. So yeah, really quick turn, guys. It does take the victory points up
7 to 3.
7 to 3.
I need to deny him this coming objective.
He does, absolutely. So we'll move into turn 4.
So in Ultramarine turn 4, movement and shooting, I have successfully cleared off objective 5. Now taking control of that objective, so I now need to hold it for this turn and for the next turn to attain that objective. I just need to hold this objective for another turn for another 2 victory points if I can survive, though nothing's in range to do damage, and what we're doing now is merging his movement and shooting into this overview. So what he's done, he's moved this so he gets line of sight because he lost one of the Razorbacks, which I killed. Using my Predator. And he missed fire on the aggressors, trying to clear them out. He's now moving a conga line towards objective 4, because he's now got defend objective 4 for 2 turns. I said to him it's probably a tactical error because he could have moved up and attained objective 5, because he was in control of the objective in last turn. And then if he retook it this turn, that would have been 2 consecutive turns that he'd had in control. Even with a repulsor, he would have had the numbers to seize it. Other than that, nothing else has happened. He doesn't really have anything else on the board. And these guys over here just need to stay on that objective to seize that point. For his objective 1. Defend objective 1. So I'm going to have to clear them out in this or the next turn. I don't think there's anything else. Obviously, my repulsor moved in and he pretty much slaughtered the troops, and so did the Storm Talon. Made short work. Also, the repulsor's last cannons and last talons cleared off the basilisk that was at the back of the table. But not much else is happening. I was just saying about the slight tactical error moving for the objective 4 rather than objective 5.
Yeah. Yeah, we both read it differently.
But other than that, not a lot's happened because there's not a lot left. But it's still a tactical game, and he can still pull it back due to the fact 1 and 4. Not so much now with 5. And 5 would have been an easy win.
Yeah.
But we'll soon see. Moving into turn 5. So at the end of Ultramarine movement and shooting turn 5, there wasn't a Grey Knight and Astra Militarum turn 5. It got a total wipeout.
Yeah, there was nothing left on the board.
The Storm Talon moved, hovered, shot on 2s, killed the guys on objective 1. Last cannon shots went into, was it the remaining Razorback?
Yeah, Razorback. It crumpled in one sort of volley of fire.
And then I think the Predator finished it off. Other than that, the Devastators fired into the guard that were heading towards that objective. The Repulsor, we've got special rules for our terrain. Essentially, the garage, if you own the garage, you can either close or open the front doors, because that's what the terrain actually does. So you can have line of sight blocking, or you can open it if you want to shoot. Obviously, I wanted to shoot, so I basically opened the doors. Finishing off the squad that was down there through grenade shots, stubber shots, Gatling shots, a lot of shots.
A lot of shots.
And that finished those guys off. But regardless, objective-wise, I got 13 points through my tactical objective cards, and then through Linebreaker, First Blood, and Slay the Warlord, another 3, it was 3 to 16.
Yeah, a very convincing victory.
I'm still happy with my amount of boots on the ground.
I think you
Tanks.
should be.
Tanks are good.
I tried a bit of a different list today. Range firepower, which is something the Grey Knights massively lack. I'm very much a fluffy army builder. And for probably 2 years, roughly, I've obstinately said,
no,
I'm playing Grey Knights. I'm not playing Grey Knights. Grey Knights, pure or nothing else. Unfortunately, in the current state of the matter, they really lack a lot of things.
They don't have much of a toolbox.
No, they don't. So I took the Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, if you want to be politically correct these days. I took them for basically range firepower, which is something, like I say, the Grey Knights lack.
It was hit and miss, though. I mean...
Yeah, I think there was too much on the board for them when they arrived. I think the Imperial Guard shooting to start with was poor.
You need a full, pure Imperial Guard unit, just like full on, just guard.
Yeah.
Like the turn 1 of that you need to be knocking stuff out.
I think the new FAQ second turn stratagem helped me the first turn.
Well, it did. It saved a few units.
Quite a bit of stuff. My shooting then in response, I took out one of your tanks, didn't I, and damaged your Vindicator. But a lot of my rolls whiffed. I could potentially have taken out another tank or two. But my rolling was pretty horrific. I was doing quite well for the battle cannon for how many shots I got. And hits as well. But when it came to wounding, it just let it down a bit. But even at that point, I thought, we can still play on. The Grey Knights came in, managed to lock up his big, scary tank, although, to be fair, you've got a couple of scary tanks.
Though that one has 22 wounds.
The Cerberus was definitely one of the biggest, scarier ones.
The Repulsor at 16 and they're similar stat-wise.
Interestingly enough, in games that I played with Ryan in the past, he brought his Repulsor out when I played a Death Guard.
It was only one of them, though, and it went out shot straight away. Focus fire.
That was against Death Guard, entirely different list to the one that I ran in the previous video as well. We didn't record that. I kind of thought the Repulsor was a bit lacking. It really didn't seem like it was worth bringing. However, in this game,
once you get it into combat in range, the guns that it has, it can deal some damage, especially against infantry. You then use your las cannons and las talons against any heavy armor.
Yeah, it's kind of changed my opinion on it slightly. It's got a bit of a toolbox to allow it to do multiple roles.
Obviously, those days as well, we didn't have line of sight blocking terrain as much. So it was literally from the turn, you could just go boom, bye-bye.
Yeah.
If you wanted to focus something down.
Yeah. Line of sight definitely came into play in this game quite a bit. But yeah, really enjoyable game. I think the scoreline reflects poorly on how the game was going up until maybe the middle stage. I
mean, I still had a lead, but in the end, like turn 4 and 5, it shot up.
Once you took out the Grey Knights, which, let's face it, volume of fire against invulnerable saves does not save models, especially not when they penetrate through the invulnerable save and you're rolling d6 damage every shot. It doesn't stack up very well. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I don't think the list I brought was terribly bad. I mean, it's certainly not a tournament list. We don't tend to do that. We play what we kind of want to play.
I think 2,000 points of guard has done better against 2,000 points of Ultramarines. I mean, when I have 2,000 points, I have to be a bit more careful what I'm bringing. Like, I wouldn't have brought the super heavy, super killer tank because generally I've got other things that I can bring that are more cost effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And spending 697 points if you have the heavy flamer on it for a tank plus then Gilliman at 400, that's over half your list gone.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm playing pure guard, I can flood the board with infantry squads galore.
Still my favourite units.
Command points, so they're coming out my ears.
If you got Space Marines, you have to get Storm Talons. I honestly, Storm Raven gunships are a waste of time, I personally think. For the point value you get, you're better off with Storm Talons.
I almost considered it for this game, didn't I? And then swapped out
you've got
last minute to go for another, just a regular Dread Knight in the end.
The problem with the gunship, obviously, is points, and if you actually need the transport capacity, because you're paying for that.
Yeah. I think that was probably the swinger. It's almost like running, and transport with plenty of weaponry and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is still a transport. It is.
I don't think you've ever used it as a transport either. I know some players do, but
yeah,
you can jump them in.
Usually would run them sort of alone because my Grey Knights could just
jump in
anyway.
With the change of the rules, obviously, you might want to, if you've got units, obviously, you can only have 1,000 points. Half your army has to be on the board, and then half your army can be in Teleportarum.
I mean, it's hard to say whether the new rules hindered the Grey Knights this time. I think actually coming in on second turn wasn't the end of the world for me. If I was running a pure Grey Knights list, it would just not work at all.
You wouldn't have injured the super heavy tank with the crippling fire.
Strike and tie stuff up immediately, or be shut off the board. But at least I think with the Imperial Guard, Ryan had enough targets on the board, obviously, anyway. But yeah, fun game, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If there are any things that you've picked up on, we're not sort of 100%. The rules, we're not perfect. Absolutely not.
No, I'm not scanning the FAQs every second.
No. We play for fun. And like I say, these lists, we absolutely understand would not be taken to a tournament.
We're not trying to. We're not building Optimum super list, looking at stats and going, yes, this is more shots here for this many points.
We're not. We're just a couple of guys who enjoy playing the game and enjoy the hobby.
I prefer generally armies that look nice, and I like tanks, and I still bring tanks regardless. I don't really care much for troops. The troop choices as well for Space Marines, I've gone away from. I've got rid of most of my tacticals. The only tacticals I have now are going towards Devastator squads, and that's for a drop pod army for dropping on objectives. And even then, the tactical troops are just for basically cannon fodder. Yeah. So if someone shoots my Devastators, obviously one dies, I'm not taking the las cannon, I'm taking the idiot with the bolt gun.
Yeah.
Because those bolt guns are crap in general. I mean, yeah, you've got shots, but guys on the board doesn't really work when, especially the new orcs, they're going to be tougher. There's no real benefit to them. Intercessors have obviously some -1 AP to the guns and a little better range and everything else, and they're actually tougher. But again, Space Marines don't have men on the board, really. I mean, the new units, you've got maybe a 10-man squad of intercessors, and that's about 200 points or so, even more maybe, depending on what bolt gun loadout you've got, if the Stalker or if the Assault or just the standard new bolt gun. You're just better off running something that has a bit of ability to capture objectives. Like I have my Reavers. This turn I didn't drop them in. I just kept them back, and that was purely as denial for Deep Strike in turn 2. And there was an objective there. It's out of line of sight. It's not great view, so I just put some troops there that have essentially.
But it worked out for you then, didn't it?
They've only got a combat knife and a pistol. It's not like they're going to be shooting across the board, so I might as well put them on the objective in case it comes up.
Absolutely.
Same with the aggressors. They were just defense. They were just guarding the other tanks. They could have like gone into melee combat if they had to. You get decent shots if you don't move them, so you're better off using them as defense. Or if you really need to push, you can. But they really succeed when you don't have to move them, especially at 24 shots at max on each.
Yeah, very good.
And then if you had a full squad of that, that's over 100 shots, as mentioned before. So horde armies, I know they're popular, but they're not fun to play. I mean, moving that many troops across a board, let alone setting them up, not fun.
Well, we're about to find that out, I think.
Yeah.
Once I get my hand on the new codex, the Bad Moon Orcs will come out to play. And it's not like Warhammer Fantasy, a wonderful game, Games Workshop, I might add. I've had a couple of days of full-on ranting about Warhammer Fantasy and my love for that game. But anyway, we won't get sidetracked. You don't have modular movement trays for those guys, do you? The Orcs is literally just foot slogging hundreds of models across the board.
I mean, you can get movement trays, but they don't look nice. And if the board's tight, you can't move
They
them.
wouldn't go around this terrain for a start. It would have to be a very open board. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Just fun armies and random armies. And hopefully eventually I'll get my Fire Raptor gunship added in as well. And maybe some more Storm Talons. Make a more air superiority kind of army as well. Because gunships are great.
Happy gaming, guys.